S.H.Figuarts Dragon Ball Super Saiyan Kefla was released on the 25th of January as a premium Bandai exclusive and retails for 6,050 yen or $62 on the premium Bandai US site. As per usual, this is the Japanese release as I live here in Japan. So for those of you who purchased Kefla through the US site, she should ship out late next month in February. As many of you know, Kefla was in fact the winner of Tamashii's Choose the Next Figuarts competition, held I think it was 2 years ago now. It was an online campaign during the Dragon Ball Games Battle Hours event that allowed collectors to choose characters from a list mainly from the Dragon Ball Z Fighters roster to be made into the next Figuarts figure. Super Saiyan Kefla was announced as the overall winner last year, with Baby Vegeta and GT Kid Goku coming in pretty close as runner-ups. I was really interested in seeing just how Tamashii would tackle this particular character, as Kefla has, I think, some interesting proportions. Yes, she is a female character, but she clearly has a muscular build, and it shows in the sculpt work. That's how Kefla was portrayed in the anime, but I think when you try to translate that design to figure form, you have to be careful not to make her overly muscular without making her look, like just another female mold. I think what Tamashii have done here with the proportions and sculpting have really hit that nice balance between being muscular and feminine at the same time. Kefla looks athletic, which in my mind she should be, and that's how she came across to me in the anime anyway. She's not too bulky, but at the same time, she's not spindly as well. You've got some nice muscular definition in her arms, her ab section, clearly in her ab section, and in her legs. It's subtle, but it's just enough to make her look imposing, like she can go toe-to-toe with her male Saiyan counterparts. Kefla's design isn't overly complex, as she's pretty much just wearing a tank top and tights, though we do get some sculpted in stretch lines around the areas you would expect there to be, stretch lines and creases in clothing. The gold in her gauntlets and ankle braces kind of offsets that simplicity in her costume. It's a nice metallic, almost, I guess you could say, greenish tinge of gold, which I guess makes sense since some of the traits Kale inherits from a Broly carries over to Kefla's design as well, and it's more evident in her head sculpt, which I think looks pretty spot on. I love the sculpt work in her hair. It's big, it's bountiful, almost to the point that it kind of makes her top heavy. You'll have to be careful when you pose her around because she can kind of lose her balance in some particular poses. You have the ponytail there at the back as well. It doesn't seem to be articulated, it's just one solid piece. The hair has a beautiful, I guess almost metallic green sheen to it, which has it's not too glossy, but it's not matte, it's somewhere in between finish, and again, it really reminds me of Dragon Ball Z Broly. As always, Tamashii are killing it with the faces, when they can get the printing and alignment right, but this time I can confidently say, with my copy at least, that the printing is spot on and looks very clean. I think the expressions really capture that more cartoony Dragon Ball Super look, and as I said before, as far as I can tell with my copy, the printing does seem to be really crisp and really nicely done. I really love the different shades of blue that they used with her eyes. The Patara earrings are also nicely done. There's a bit of gold and metallic green, and again, for a character that has, a really simple design, the small details really make a difference. Not too much going on in terms of paintwork, as most of Kefla is molded colored plastic, which I guess, we're all used to by now. I mean, that's a good thing for no paint rub, but a bit of variation in color for, Kefla's costume, I think would have gone a long way. Some shading, I think, would have, made the simple design, a little bit more visually interesting. Alright, so let's look at Kefla's articulation, and like most of the female figures, as I've mentioned many times in this review, her articulation is pretty good. It's very similar to what we see with Bulma and those other figures as well. But with Kefla, because she is, you know, one of the boys, she does get down with the action. She does get a bit more articulation. Let's start off with the head. Kefla can look up about that much, and she can look down pretty far as well. She's got some great tilt. Look at that. Look at that tilt. It's fantastic. And of course, you get side to side rotation as well. The head is the only moving part. Her neck is a solid piece. But as you can see, there's absolutely no problem with Kefla getting those that head to move around like that. She does have some butterfly joints here, and this is about as far as you can get her to get her hands together. I hope that gives you a good idea. Not the furthest, but it's better than nothing. So you do have butterfly joints there. Kefla can move her arms a bit past 90 degrees, actually. A lot better out 90 degrees. There we go. We do have a full rotation there. 360 rotation there at the shoulders. And she does have that, I guess you can say, hidden upper shoulder swivel there. Because these arms do detach, and you can plug in those crossed arms as well. She doesn't have double jointed elbows. It is a single joint, but you do get a little bit past 90 degrees, which I think is still pretty good. And of course, as with all Figuarts figures, you do get the swivel there and the hinges at the wrist as well. All right, for her torso. So I guess Kefla's design, because, of her design, she's pretty much set up to have, the upper torso, the abdominal section there, and her, the crotch, and it's broken up, pretty seamlessly, and it works really well. So for ab crunch, you've got the upper torso and the lower torso working in conjunction with each other, and you can get about that much. It's not bad. I think you can get a little bit further. And you can get Kefla to go way back, actually, a lot more than she can go forward. It's great. You do get a bit of swivel there at the upper torso, and a bit of swivel there at the lower torso as well. It's a bit tight. I wouldn't push it too far, but it is there. But you do get a great range of motion tilting side to side. And as I mentioned before, because of the way that her design sets up this articulation, you can get her upper torso, her lower torso, and her crotch to move in kind of like an S section, which is, ideal for female characters. So really nice setup there. And the crotch piece here is a floating piece, so it does accommodate, for that, for all the movement that you would want Kefla to get into. She does have the hidden upper thigh cut here. We don't get too much range of movement with the full splits, about that much. It's not too far out, but I think it'll get the job done. Kefla does kick forward about 90 degrees. And unfortunately, she doesn't kick back at all, because she does have her butt here molded in, and it does block that bit of articulation there. With her knees, I'm not the biggest fan of her knees. It is a single joint there. The thigh here is a part of the knee. The kneecaps are molded in or sculpted with the thigh piece here. So you do get that kind of like I don't want to say it's a gap. I guess you could say it's a gap. It's more evident here on the right leg. It's not the prettiest, but obviously when you have Kefla standing up straight in a vanilla pose, it looks really streamlined and the silhouette is quite nice. But it's just when you have her kind of bending her knees like so, if you've got her at an angle where it kind of shows that gap, that is there. She doesn't have a boot cut, but you do have swivels there at the ankle. She does kick down fairly well, kick up pretty good as well, and you have toe articulation. And yes, Tamashii, I'm loving this update on all their characters. They've given us the the bigger ball with the hinge, and it just gives you so much better ankle pivot. Look at that. I'm so glad Tamashii updated this bit of articulation. It was the one thing that I really didn't like about the older Figuarts. I mean, even with the 2.0 bodies, you had that dumbbell joint in, and it just didn't work. It was just so limiting. But I'm really, really happy with this new bit of articulation. And overall, Kefla is, pretty good. And yeah, she'll definitely hit all the poses you would want Kefla to be in. So overall, pretty fantastic in terms of articulation. Like with all female figures from the Dragon Ball line, Kefla comes with a generous amount of accessories, including 3 interchangeable faces, a smirking face, a gritting teeth face, and an angry shouting face. For hands, Kefla comes with a pair of fists, a left-handed fist palming hand, a right-handed index pointing hand, a pair of open palm blast hands, another pair of open palm hands which have her fingers slightly curled, one right open palm blast hand with a peg for the energy effect, and a set of crossed arms which, like every Figuarts figure from the Dragon Ball line, can be swapped out from the shoulders. You just remove the hands that she's packaged in, and you kind of align the crossed arms, plug them into each shoulder, and the crossed arms kind of just sit over her chest. Kefla also comes with a charged energy effect which plugs into her right open palm blast hand, which has a peg. But the main event of the show would have to be these really impressive looking gigantic burst effects, which you have to have, right? It's one of the most iconic scenes in the Tournament of Power, and probably one of the best looking effect pieces we've gotten in a while from Tamashii. The effects are a translucent green plastic with a reddish-orange swirls coming from the center, and this time the hands are already attached to the effect pieces themselves, something that I prefer with my figures actually. You don't have to fiddle around with the hands and then, plug in the effects after. You just plug in everything into the forearms directly, and there you've got yourself a recreation of that awesome scene from the Tournament of Power. Tamashii has made some really impressive female figures in their line already, with the various Bulma releases and Lunch, which were all fantastic figures in my opinion. Oops, I forgot Chi-Chi. Chi-Chi was also a great figure as well. All those figures, including Kefla, have a ton of accessories and really impressive articulation that, definitely doesn't fall short when compared to the other male figures in the line. So it was expected that Kefla would be more or less the same. And what I think the figure lacks in size and mass is definitely made up with the amount of accessories we get. Yes, we don't get double hinge joints like the male figures, but the articulation is definitely there, and it's definitely enough for what you want your figures to do, even for such a action-heavy based character like Kefla. Some people might not like the Figma style disc joints, but it does have a nice, clean silhouette when you look at the figure from the front. I'm not sure how many Dragon Ball Super figures we'll be getting this year, especially with the new movie filling out most of the spots from April to July. But I'm really glad to see Tamashii fill out the Super roster, just a bit more. Kefla is the first female Saiyan, the first female fusion Saiyan figure in the line, but I would really love to see more from Tamashii. Overall, I really enjoy this figure. It's a lot of fun. Of course, with Kefla, you're going to want to have Caulifla and Kale as well. But I'd really like to see Tamashii give us a Dragon Ball Z Gine as well. Who knows, but Bardock's full squad of Saiyans, his full team, would definitely be an awesome sight to see. Alright guys, I'm heading out, but we'll be back real soon with S.H.Figuarts Krillin 2.0, so make sure you stick around for that review as well. Take good care of yourselves, guys, and keep healthy. And as always, yoroshiku!